We're going to lean into the laugh. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome. Welcome to this week's episode of the Pursuing Horizons podcast. Today, we're speaking with Bianca, we were just talking about this pregame. Technically a returning guest because she was on Flex Cortex twice. So she's a three-peat. She's back for the third time, but first time on this podcast. So we're going to get a little bit of some backstory, but we were just talking about this before. So we need like a recap. So imagine we're watching the fifth season of a show, right? And they
hmm
give you that like little minute and a half recap in the beginning where it hits like the key points. Okay. We need that, but for your life.
A no
Of
skip
course.
intro. No skip intro
Oh,
button.
don't skip the
And
good parts.
right. And I want the cinematic suspense and build up and everything. Okay?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's been a lot that's happened in the last couple months, I feel like. From last podcast, I've moved into a new space and kind of started over. And I think that was a little scary at first because when I first moved to Calgary, I had this like vision of what my life would look like, the people that would be in it. And then come the new year, everything changed. And I was at a point in my life where I was like, complete panic, like shutting down. Where do I go from here? Do I move back home? Do I stay? Do I go? And like, I think having to face my fears was probably really scary. And I think the whole process of like being alone and like being okay being alone and trying to navigate this next chapter of my life was really difficult. But I think now looking back, all these things that have happened, as hard as they were, they had to happen for a reason. And I think now, like, I'm looking back and I'm just like, I feel empowered and I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I'm living this life and creating this life that's only for me and no one else. And like,
Mhm.
it's great. Like the business is going well, like building that and like all the fun things I had planned for this summer and really working hard to kind of make my dreams a reality. I ended up playing in February, which was really great after not being able to play for 2 years and now potentially playing in the summer and building up for the Olympics is really exciting. So I think there's like so many fun things coming down the pipeline, but I think comparing myself to a few months ago, it's crazy because I was in a really, really bad place, wondering, what the hell am I supposed to do with my life now? And it's just kind of funny how things play out, I guess. So
Mhm.
nothing too exciting. I think this summer is going to be really exciting. I'm coaching Canada Summer Games, so I'm going to be in Newfoundland with that, which is kind of like a mini Olympics for younger athletes. So my coaching this summer is really gonna turn up a lot. So I'm super excited about that. And I just got back from Prague and I was coaching down
Yep.
there.
Yep.
So yep, I'm traveling and it's fun and it's great. But I'm like, oh, I need like a vacation of just like no lacrosse and just travel. I think that's like the one thing I was missing in my life is just traveling and having experiences. And I think if anyone can do that in your 20s, I highly recommend it. So yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of opportunities happening, and I'm trying to like put myself in places and trying to get myself like build myself up. So yeah, super exciting stuff. Super exciting. So yeah,
Rob, fire it off.
You knew I was gonna say something. You knew.
please hit
And
us
it's
with a
funny. I have like
question.
10. I have like 10 questions already. But I first of all, like you seem like you're bursting with life now, which is awesome, and like that always makes me so happy to see because like I know what it's like to go through it, and when you get to the other side, it's just the most wonderful feeling of empowerment ever, which is gonna
Hmm.
lead into like three questions later for me.
Oh,
But you
great.
mentioned something there that I feel like I've learned the hard way in my life, and I think a lot of people, based on childhood trauma and different experiences, have probably really experienced this too. But learning how to be alone, that is, even just saying that, I feel a weird guilt and shame energy coming up because it took me so long to feel comfortable with that. So I'd love if you could speak on what that looked
Hmm.
like for you and just how important that has been for you.
Yeah. I think when I look at my like a year ago Bianca and I look at me now, I can admit now that I was terrified to be alone. And I didn't want to admit that to myself. And I put myself in situations where, maybe they weren't the best situations for me, but it's because I didn't want to be alone that I stayed. Um, and now looking back, I'm like, there's something empowering about being by yourself and like I don't have to answer to anyone. I can, be my own company and like I can do my own thing, live my own schedule and not have to worry about taking care of other people or other things and like just solely putting that energy back into me and being like, okay, like Bianca, this is your time. Like obviously all this stuff's going on for a reason. Like invest in your business, invest in your health, invest in your athletic career. Like put that time that you need for yourself back into you and all that energy that you let get drained just come back and like refuel and refresh you, right? Like it's like don't get me wrong, like it's shitty being alone. Like there's days where I'm like, frick, like this sucks. Like I want to talk to someone. I want to tell them like all these really cool things that are happening in my life. But then I'm like, Bianca, like you're not alone. Like the friends that I have in this city are amazing. My roommate and like my best friend, like if I need anything, I always have people there. The people in ZS, like I'm not really alone, but I think we try to like lean on other people to like find ourselves in them. And it's like, but why like can't we be good enough for ourselves, you know?
That,
You know what I'm
that
saying, Bryce?
that that like
hmm
I feel like what I know of both of everybody in here, that's
Yeah.
huge. It's a huge thing. And I remember, just for conversation here, like I remember being in LA and the band was big and I felt like a very like worldly guy at like 23, 24, and I had a flight back to go see the guys in Toronto, and was like, wait a minute, like I have a layover in Houston. I don't even know how to do a layover because I've literally only ever flown with my friends. And I remember feeling a
Yeah.
really crippling, sinking feeling, and then feeling weak, and then shame and guilt rolled in. And I literally then put it off for like another 10 years of learning how to do it. But it creeps up on you because we like society almost like champions like how like find your person, make that life, do that. And I think it's shifting in like the last few years of like, no, figure your life out, figure out what's you can't give love if you don't love who you are, and you don't know who you are to love if you can't sit in those quiet moments that are the most uncomfortable thing ever. So with all
hmm
that being said, what did that feel like at the start compared to when did the momentum start coming?
Oh God. I'm like,
Right off the bat.
um, I don't know. Like for me, I think sitting with those thoughts has probably been the most uncomfortable thing for me. And I think, like, I made a post about this the other day. Like, I really didn't know what I needed until I actually sat down with my fears and looked them in the face. And I was like, okay, like, Bianca, like, you actually have to get serious about the things in your life. You're 27 now. Like, now there's this, like, extra pressure of, like, am I behind in my life? Like, I come from a very old school Italian family. There's expectations, priorities in place. And I'm like, am I behind because I'm not married? Am I behind because I don't have kids? Like, but at the same time, I'm like, honestly, this life that I'm living, there's so much value in that. And like I put this traveling and like these experiences, like that's wealth to me. And like I know when the timing's right and the things that are meant for me in my life will find me. And like I'm just focusing on becoming a better version of myself, so that when the next person comes into my life, like they're gonna compliment me and be everything that I need, and I'm okay with who I am. Like I think I've always struggled with confidence, and like even when I was younger, I used to be this shell of a human and like would hide from who I was and was so hard on myself and was scared of what everyone thought of me. And now I'm kind of just like, fuck it, like who
Yeah.
cares? Like if I'm not living my best life, if I'm not creating a life that I love and that I'm proud of, then what's the freaking point? Like
Yeah.
I am doing things for me. Like I'm finally choosing to put myself first. And if someone's willing to come into my life and compliment that, like that makes me excited. And like I think I had to change the mindset too of like, okay, like yeah, shit's hard right now. Like I'm falling apart and like I need to rebuild, but I'm also open and excited for what's to come. And like I know what's to come is gonna be really, really cool. And it's exactly what I'm gonna need at the right time. Oh, go ahead, Bryce.
No, you keep going. You keep going. I'm just saying that I have something queued up for when you're done
Oh, you
talking.
got something cute. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I don't know. Like
A
I said,
note.
it
Perfect.
goes in waves, honestly. Like you're gonna have days where like being alone is really, really shitty and you're there with your thoughts and everything and you're like, oh, how did my life get to this point? Like, what's wrong with me and why am I not enough? And I think the idea of me not being enough has been something I struggled with my whole life, especially in my athletic career. And when those feelings come up, I'm like, holy crap, like, okay, here it is. Like,
Mm.
but I've been taught to, like accept those feelings, feel your feels, let them come in, acknowledge them, and then just like let them go.
Let
If you
them go.
can't acknowledge them, it's just like then, you're just kind of suppressing everything. And that's originally what led to my depression, right? Like I compressed things for years. And then when I finally got to a point where I could accept it, acknowledge it, and really come to terms with what those feelings felt like and where they were coming from, it changed my life, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Bryce?
first thing, there's a ton to unpack there, and I have a lot to say about it. I think one of the first things is, we tend to, I think, drift towards people and specifically relationships, to make us feel more whole, right? Whereas I think it's obviously a very backwards way of thinking when we like you think about it like in grand scheme, right? We should be
Hmm.
wanting to be with somebody because they make us a better person, not because they make us feel more like who we want to be. But I think we often are drawn to like certain traits or characteristics of someone that we really want to have in ourselves. And I think we've all been there, right? We've all drifted towards relationships and put a lot of pressure on said person to make us feel more like ourselves because we couldn't make ourselves feel like ourselves, which is kind of interesting. But one thing that I had asked myself, and it gave me a lot of clarity on like who I am, is if I lost my personal training certificate tomorrow, like I wasn't able to train a client ever again, who would Bryce be? And
Hmm.
I think within asking myself that, it gave me clarity on like who I am, what I value, what I want in my life. And as soon as you're able to like detach from like what we do and realize it's just like a part of our life, then you're able to get like more, I think, happy because you know like what you are, who you like, what you value and everything. And that ties in directly to like relationships because if you know what you want and if you know what your life is like, what a fulfilled life is like for you, it's way easier to like attract somebody that is going to add value to your life,
Hmm.
versus like clinging on to somebody because like they're like a lifeline and you need them
Yep.
for survival, right? And I think within doing that, like it just gave me more clarity. But also, I did this thing recently where I actually wrote down on paper like strong traits of a male figure because I was
Hmm.
listening to a book recently and he talked about for you to get clarity on like who you are, what you want in life, and where you want to go, write down who you want to become in explicit detail. So I wrote down like, okay, well, when I envision a male figure, these are the traits. And it was funny because I had such a mental block in the beginning. Like I was like, ah, fuck, I don't even know what to write. And then I started just like writing, and it was like page one, page two, page three, page four, page five, page six. And like whenever I feel a little bit, let's say, discouraged or like I'm lacking clarity, or like maybe
Hmm.
I feel a little bit lost, I'll read it. Because like,
Yep.
that there was that one day that you wrote down in explicit detail like who you are and who you want to become. But that's all I got to take with that. But Rob, you can take
Yep.
more if you want.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah, that's literally exactly kind of how it happened for me, but it took big discomfort where, and I know like when we're looking at stages of change and stuff, for a lot of people it's when things are so bad that getting better is the only option, or like getting that comfort. And we go back to like learning to be comfortable with yourself. um all the books I read for a while were like pre like 1800 or like pre 1900, and
Vintage.
yeah, I know. And then you go to the new ones, and like a lot of the ex-athletes I like talking about, like exactly what we're talking about here, but they all say the same thing. And one of those main
Hmm.
points is know thyself and
Yeah.
be alone. And I've heard other podcasters say it's the alone phase or like the lonely chapter, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's planting a seed that's going to then develop later. And in
Yep.
just with speaking of you in the last 3 months twice now, I can hear and see the difference in you. And like you were already like
Thumbs up.
figuring it out then too, and that just it makes me happy because like for anybody that's ever struggled or gone through it, when you find that
I'm gonna
momentum again,
cry.
you just feel awesome. Oh, you deserve it. Like it's great. It's a great feeling. Times when you're like, oh my god, this is so dark, I just
Yeah.
don't know. And these reps, and like we're all fitness people, like the repetition that builds this is life calluses that are like you
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
this experience will serve you only positively forever, and now you can come back from more than one thing,
I
so
hope
that
so.
just awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I think
awesome.
it's hard because like, when you have someone who you love or loved dearly and you had someone that was with you for a long time and that person is no longer with you and you think about your life now and how like, oh, like, these are the things that this person should have been a part of. And like it's hard. It's like there's
Yeah.
always that hard part and like I have no like negative thoughts towards that person or anything, but it's like it's kind of shitty. Like you just want to be able to kind of I don't know, sometimes go back and like redo things in a certain way, but you're like, ah, everything happens for a reason. And like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
shitty, but you're
Yeah.
gonna come out of it stronger. I mean, even like injury, right? Like we talked about me being like in a really shitty place and going through that and like coming out of it stronger. Like now I look at myself, I'm like, yeah, I still have my little hiccups, but I'm such a different person because of the things I've gone through in the last 2 years. And
Yep.
like sometimes I'm like, fuck, like why do I have to like go through all this shit? The depression, the anxiety, the college experiences, the breakup, the moving, and it's like, yes, as hard as those things were, like it's shaping me to be, I think, exactly who I'm supposed to be, the person I'm supposed to come. Because like running a business, Bryce knows, like, and Rob, like what this is like in the training world. Like it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like and there's days where I literally cry and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, who am I to think that I can do this, right? But then I'm like, no, like Bianca, you made that decision when you were at rock bottom that there was something bigger and better for you out there. And like you cannot give up on yourself now because that little girl, the person you were when you were tiny, saw this world and was like, there's something you're going to create and it's going to change people's life and you don't know what it is, but you have to keep going. Like I have no other choice, like
Yeah.
I can't give up on myself.
That really brings something up inside me, and I just like, this is why we do the podcast, because these are the
Fuck
stories
yeah.
that when I was going through it, like there was a podcast called Team Never Quit that was just like some Navy SEAL dudes. It's classic dude brain. Oh, Navy SEALs, that's the one I'll chase after. But on the darkest of days where I was like, I can't even brush my teeth today without the thought of like crying about being a bad person or what I thought, I
Mhm.
would listen to like these warriors stories, and it kind of was like, there are a series of decisions that I can make now that take me to a place of glory, or what I perceived as glory, like that, or just getting momentum going again. So this is going to build into my next little statement slash question slash follow up.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people that kind of really romanticize our job and like, oh, it must be awesome to be just empowering people all day. Yes, it is awesome, but we are human beings and we go through it, and it's a very hard job on the days you're going through it if you can't
Oh God.
compartmentalize or just set aside to deal with later. And I
Yes.
struggled hard with that. So I would love to talk about, just in your time coaching and building yourself back, what it was like. I guess, oh my God, I have to deal with so and so clients today, but I'm really not there mentally. What that looked like, and what this lonely, not, I hate that I keep using the word lonely. It shows you how programmed it is. What, like, in your alone time, in Bianca time here, what have you learned about yourself that you
Bianca
didn't
Bianca
know
time.
time.
before? What kind of like truth nuggets came out of the chaos, you know?
Yeah, I kind of laugh because like when I went through like after my partner and I ended our relationship in January, I remember going to work and I felt like, I hate to use this term, but like dead inside,
Oh yeah.
like, and I'm like feel dramatic saying that and I'm like frick, but like I went to work and like I wasn't there. Like I was there, but I wasn't. And like trying to train people with enthusiasm when I felt like my life was falling apart, that I was like felt like I like had lost something inside of me. Like there was a point in my life, or like a point in the last couple months, like way back, where I was like I felt like I was losing who I was, and then all this stuff happened and I was like what do I do? Like I literally I was like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to live. I don't know what's happening. Like when you move your whole life for someone and then it doesn't go as planned, which is okay. And then this like bomb happens, you're like, okay, like now what do I do with my life? I'm 26, 27. Like this isn't what I envisioned for myself. And I remember those first few months before my trip. I was a mess. I couldn't stop crying at work. I was trying to train clients and I couldn't. I ended up going home for a week because I just wanted to shut the world out and like be with my family. And then that trip happened. And it couldn't have come at a better time because I wasn't sure if I was going to go and be able to play. And then when I came back from that trip, it's like a switch was flipped. And I was like, yes, like be upset, acknowledge and honor the things that the relationship brought to your life. Enjoy it. Always remember the happy times. But I was like, Bianca, like I almost was like, I don't really have any more time to waste. Like my life, this is what I want for my life. This is where I'm at. I need to like keep my foot on the pedal and keep going because at a point I was sacrificing my goals and my dreams and my aspirations, and I was so tired of like showing up, and I don't know, I just kind of had this point where I was like, fuck it, like you really don't have a choice, Bianca. You are all you have, and you need to pick yourself up. You need to hold your head high, and it's that quitting and failure aspect. It's not that like there's nothing wrong with failing. It's not that like yeah, things failed, but I didn't quit, and like that shows a lot about who I am, and like failure is, I'll always say this, failure is a part of the journey to success. Like you have to fail in order to succeed. Like this business thing, like is every day perfect? No, but I know in 3 years time I'm going to look back and be like, Bianca, I'm so glad you didn't give up on yourself.
Yep.
I'm so glad you chose to keep going, because now you open that gym, you're running this business, you have everything that you've ever wanted in life, but you had to go through some really fucking shitty times to get there. But that just shows like the resilience piece, and like that's what I learned in that moment of silence with myself is like you can do hard things. Yes, it's hard, but you're going to come out of this stronger, you're resilient, and you know exactly what you want for yourself, and you're never going to settle for anything less than that.
And you're indestructible. Which like
It's hard. Like sometimes I'm
yeah.
not indestructible though. Like
Yeah.
this mental game I play with myself now every day. It's like, you know, you start to like compartmentalize and take that stuff in. It's like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not enough? Like, do I deserve good things? But going back to my affirmations and journaling, I need to start putting that stuff out there because I truly do believe I have a lot to offer. But it's
Mhm.
like there's those thoughts that just start sinking in, and then you spiral,
Yeah.
you know?
Those thoughts,
Yeah.
that voice in the head, it's a best friend and it's a worst friend ever.
Absolutely.
It
For sure.
every great story, success story, whether that's just as simple as I lived a life that made me happy, or I'm the richest person in the world, or the greatest athlete of all time, all those people seem to have a deeply distraught and then healthy relationship with the voice inside their head, with the doubts. And it feels like, other than like big people, like, I mean, we have so many great like social media platforms where we can all share ideas now. It feels like nobody talked about it, but all of us struggle with it the most out of anything. And
Yeah.
another thing I thought of earlier when you were saying, and it kind of ties into this, is when you were, like, people, we only see the best of people on their gram. And as we get older and we know, and Instagram's been around longer now, like, you're like, okay, well, like, I could go back to some photos of me playing in front of 10,000 people that look like my dream is coming true and literally were the darkest days of my life, right? And it shows us, if we're only ever seeing the end result of someone's wonderful product, we think like any small little failure is, there's something wrong with us. Where it's like, no, you fail millions and millions of times, but every little piece of information you get from that is what's going to set you up for success the one time you fail a little bit better. And that's why I love the term fail better. Fail again, fail better, and then figure it out, And I'm like, there's no and it breaks my heart a little bit too, because I've felt the same way of, what's wrong with me? Why is this happening? And those are the times that like really pushed me into why I care so much about the things we talk about here, and sports and everything, because I just don't want people to ever feel what I've had to feel, or like to show them like that's just noise. There's empowerment ways. There's ways to do this. And I'm all tied up into a little bow right here. But, and I might have even said it last time we talked to you, but there's a hilarious movie. It's one of my favorite movies. It's just kind of like a silly, like kind of like indie rom-com called 500 Days of Summer. And
Hmm.
it like takes place in LA, and it came out about like a really bad breakup in the LA area. And I was going through the exact same thing in LA at this time, and it was really hard for me to
Hmm.
watch. But there's a scene where he just can't get over this life event that happened, and he's just like face down on his bed, and trying to find inspiration, or is this the end chapter for him? Is this going to beat him? And he just starts
Yeah.
bouncing a ball in rhythm against the wall, and you see this rhythm pick up, and then all of a sudden it's an idea, and that little idea then gets planted, and that turns into an action, and that action, and like that. And I always talk about momentum, and I always think about these little things. And sometimes when I'm in a negative self loop or a negative talk loop, I'll be like, oh, well, maybe the action is just take my garbage out and let's just see what I feel after that. And all of a sudden, either I've forgotten my bad mood, or it's built into like, now I've gotten this done, or now I've accomplished this for myself. In your journey, let's do the whole journey, okay? In that whole journey, how many truths did you come in with that you've now changed or gone back or learned about? And let's maybe not the whole journey, but like the injury, the life event changing, preparing to travel, working through it with everything. Like what, who like we, what, who's Bianca now compared to who's Bianca before? And almost maybe what would you say to that Bianca before? It's a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I could touch on with that. I think the biggest thing is just like not living in fear anymore. And like I used to be such a structured, planned out person, like graduated college, had like this envision what my life was supposed to look like love my family dearly, but like I, knew what kind of life they wanted me to live, job, blah blah blah. And like as soon as I chose to like do what I wanted, make the decisions that made me happy and like how I like it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, people probably think I'm a joke because I'm a personal trainer and I'm like doing what everyone else is doing. But I'm like, honestly, I have never been happier doing what I'm doing. I wake up every day excited. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. I have a purpose and I know I get to help people. It's like, you know what? Maybe I'm not making hundreds and thousands of dollars yet, but I'm like, just wait, just freaking wait. There's so many people in my life that I want to prove wrong because I'm like, sorry, I'm choosing to do something that actually makes me happy. Sorry, I don't want to be a robot living a life that isn't mine, that working a job 9 to 5 that is miserable. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want to sit at a desk for 10 hours. Like, I want to choose myself. And I think that's something I've never done. I've always put other people first. I've always taken care of everyone else but myself. And now I'm choosing myself and being like, all right, like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like, you've been through some pretty rough shit. Like, you're stronger because of it. And like, take the risk. Take the risk or you're never going to know. And like, Zach talks about that all the time. And like, I'm so glad I chose to invest in my future because Bianca in the past would have been like talking herself out of all this stuff, right? And I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't want to be my own worst enemy anymore. I want to live. I want to have experiences. I want to say yes to things that set my soul on fire. I want to travel more. I don't want to, like, I just don't want to hold myself back from experiencing life and then making decisions based off of what everyone else wants. Like, I know I'm gonna fail. Like I used to be such a perfectionist, and now I'm just like Bianca. Like if it doesn't go your way or it doesn't go as planned, there's a reason as to why, and it's leading you to something bigger and better. Like I know there's a plan for me out there. I know what I have to offer and bring to the table. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I used to just play it safe, and like if there's anything I talk about on social media now, it's like don't play it safe anymore. Like take that chance, take that job, take that trip, like buy that car. I always show up as my most authentic self. Like I will happily admit I have shitty days or a bad week or moments in my like mental health journey that I wasn't proud of. Like I am an open book because at the end of the day, like people need to know who they're working with and I really don't have nothing I have nothing to hide, you know?
A good analogy that I think about oftentimes when you're kind of in the depths of the shit, we'll say that,
Mm-hmm.
is think about like a forest fire, right? And
Mm-hmm.
whenever a fire happens, for there to then be life, for there to be seeds planted and everything, there has to be a fire. And it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of ironic because you wouldn't think
Mm-hmm.
that destruction would bring life, but
Yeah.
it often does. And it's something that is kind of a little bit reassuring because when you're actually in the depths of it, it seems like there's no escape, right? But something that's also helped me too is this quote, and it's success is the ability to go from failure to failure with enthusiasm. And I have it on my board because I look at it every single day.
Send that to me. I love
Yeah,
that.
every single
Mic
day.
drop.
And like, and it's the matter of just like what Rob said too. It's like fail better,
Feel better.
just fail better and get used to the idea of failing because, and I'll quote Napoleon Hill, it's the stepping stones of opportunity, right? Failure. And it teaches you things you can't do, things you shouldn't do, and things to double down on. You look at anybody that's, well, air quote, successful, right? They have failed countless times, probably more than they've succeeded, but we've only seen the successes. We didn't see the many failures, the mental breakdowns, right? We didn't see any of that stuff. So it's really important, I think, like you alluded to it as well, is showing that transparent side of it and just being vulnerable and honest with people. That's why like Rob and I do this, but also like on my media too. Like I'm an open book, man. Like I'll talk about my stuff all the time, because I think it's something that we need to be doing more and encouraging men, but not just men in general, people to more openly express what they're going through, because social media is often like this highlight reel of my life is better than yours. Boo. Deal with that. Like it's in your face all the time, right? Where it's like you're
Yeah.
just seeing little glimpses and pieces of it.
Yeah. Like no one's life is that perfect. It's just like you know what I'm saying? It's like you're never going to learn unless you fail, and like everything that happens in my life I've learned from, and I've used those learning curves as a way to like better my life, right? And
Yeah.
I'm learning every day. I really am, and like trust me, it was much like I said, running a business is really freaking hard, and some days I like question whether or not I can do it. I'm like, am I crazy? Like what, but I get that. Like there's that empowering feeling. It's just like you're creating something that's super, super cool and you just gotta like stick with it, you know?
Yeah.
One more quote, then
Yeah.
Rob
Get
can
it.
speak.
Get it. Yeah.
Okay. The quote is chase legacy and you'll never grasp at an illusion. Pursue purpose and you'll leave behind something of substance.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
so
Great.
So
yeah. Yeah.
now, Rob, go.
Yeah, like and all and it's funny is my follow up. Bianca actually kind of answered afterwards, and I'm struggling to
Oh,
remember what the exact quote was, but the it's very human for us to look at the word like a word like fail, like that word like hurts,
oh my
like
God. Yeah, I was so
like you could
scared. I was
there's like a
so
negative.
terrified.
Yeah, but like if we look at a scientific process, it's investigation for like what needs to change. Oh, that didn't work. This my hypothesis on this didn't work. So
Mm.
objectively, I'll try this now with the information that I gained from there. Now, sure, that sounds so like a perfect system to do, but what makes this also beautiful is that we do attach emotions and things. And you said set my soul on fire, which is like that's like the best quote ever, right? Like I only will do things like for the most part of my life. I understand I need a healthy little bit of resistance too now. I just if it doesn't do that to me, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
You want to be excited in
yeah,
life.
I want to be excited, and that feeling has never. I mean, sure, it's taken me down some extreme paths before, but it really has served me for the most part. And some people say follow your bliss, and I think it's more so like the misinterpretation of those things are, oh, I'll just be happy all the time. If you're happy
Mhm,
all the time, the slightest little thing that goes what you perceive as not happy is
mhm.
going to rock you. And it's rocked me, and the first one always gets everyone, and then there's a big compounding effect of life events that always seem to happen that way, and it's always this horrible situation going not the outcome you've attached to, right? But in that moment, and this is what's so hilarious about being human, is what you were talking about how keep living for everyone else but yourself. You choosing yourself to pick living for you and the things you do are only going to serve the people around you better too, because you know yourself.
Yeah.
And that has been the hardest lesson to learn. And I would lay it on the line. Oh, I hate saying anyone who's watching the hockey playoffs right now, if I say lay it on the line, it's going to trigger them. So I'm sorry about that.
Lay
But
it all on the line.
yeah, oh my God, it's this Rogers commercial that's going on right now every 10 seconds during the games, and it's become like this huge meme. Okay, and it just came out of me from listening to it too much. But and I swear if I just lost my train of thought because of Rogers commercial, I'm gonna be upset here.
That's okay.
But I believe what I was trying to get at is that yeah, the hard like there's the hilarious lesson in being alone and doing things for myself is what led to me be able to do it for other people. And I just had it so backwards. I would just lay it all on the line and completely empty my tank, and then I had nothing for myself. And then that led into like, oh, I have to cancel this because I can't even think today because I'm literally dead inside.
Oh, 100%.
I also was sent home for a week one time as well, and
No, I
I had to do
agree
that.
with
Yeah,
you. Like,
yeah,
it's so brutal. Like, how do you, it's hard when you like you have to take the time for yourself when you're going through stuff like that, but it's like if you're not yourself or you don't like you're going through like how do you expect to give other people that energy? And like if you're miserable, like I've been miserable to be around and it just ruined my relationships with people, and like then I take it out on everyone else,
oh
right?
yeah,
Like if I'm not my best self, it's like it affects everyone around me, and like I want to attract amazing people to me, and like I think I have a really great personality, and I think that's why people like to work with me. So when I'm not myself and when I wasn't myself for those few months, like I felt terrible. I'm like, oh my God, like I can just imagine what my clients are thinking of me, but also my clients care about me. So they're like, you need to take the time for yourself, Bianca. Like, we're not expecting you to come back and be like 100%. Like, you need to take the time, like, to take care of yourself. And I think even with my injury, like, taking care of myself and taking rest and time off was not something I was used to doing. And my body was like, Bianca, you need a break. And that's exactly why everything happened. And it's like, you need to acknowledge and like listen to your body, your mind, and listen to what it's telling you. Because if you don't, it's just going to spiral from there, you know?
So the next life hiccup or bump in the road, what
Mhm.
when that starts to spiral and old patterns kick in, what do you foresee being the biggest piece of knowledge you have going into it now? They will be like, oh, I can
I
weather
think
this
like
storm.
I think like I have little spirals every so often. Like I spiral myself. Like I do it
Yeah.
to myself, but I think like it's hard because like mentally I put myself in this situation now where I'm just like, like, oh, is it me? Is it like, did I do something wrong? Like that's my immediate reaction to everything now. And I'm just like, okay, Bianca, like take a step back, breathe, like if someone or something in your life isn't working out the way you're supposed to, then clearly it's not meant for you. And
Hmm.
like that's okay. And like don't stop being who you are. Like I don't know, like I'm not going to stop being who I am. And I think like reminding myself like hey, like you're awesome, like you're loved, you're strong and what's meant for you will find you and like keep reassuring myself that because my immediate reaction with things going wrong now is like what did I do?
Yep.
Why am I the problem? Like
Yeah.
that's me. Like I'm like what did I do?
Yeah.
And my therapist was like, Bianca, like you're gonna go through rejection in your life and like you can't like immediately you're gonna blame you and like you need to like acknowledge that, but like also like know that not everything is your fault. I'm like, no, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. I really wish there was a magic pill for dealing with rejection. It is just it hits depending on the experience, and again, I think especially for athlete, like rejection sucks in that world a lot.
Oh
Um
God, yeah.
it really, I don't know if it'll ever get an easier feeling, but I know that I can get through it now. And that is, you couldn't put a price on that, because the first time the seas got stormy, I didn't know that, and I felt more helpless, and it was in a city I didn't really know, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And like it just is, there's so many resources out there to power through things, and the best being yourself. Like people are, we can weather crazy amounts of high stress. It's that mid-level life event stuff that's really seems to rock us, and to throw us off course. And it's just, I'll say it a million times and just keep driving it home. But like every time we talk to someone who's really been through it and is coming out the other side of it with that momentum, just I feel the joy for it, because I know how it's like like back in the days when I used to drink when I was hungover. I'm like, oh my god, I'm never gonna do this again, and I just can't wait to feel normal. And then as soon as you feel like healthy again, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. Um, Bryce, I have a question for you, actually.
Sure.
In our conversations that have over the last couple of weeks kind of really been about similar things here, what are some of
Mhm.
the biggest takeaways you've noticed in yourself with this, or like what's changed, who when you used to go through it as a kid and now you're going through it now, and there is more mental toughness now? Kind of like an open discussion about this, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say one of the biggest things for me when I was younger, especially when I was probably a kid, but let's say like even earlier on in like running the business too, is I would internalize everything. So oftentimes something would be happening. I would foresee it as something that has happening because I am who I am, not just being able to pull emotion and being able to detach from it, right? So I think one thing that I've been working on as of late is trying to not let it hold so much merit, because like sometimes things just happen and there's no really like explainable rationale as to why. I mean, obviously it's good to be able to like analyze it and figure out why said thing happened, especially if it's like tied to our business. But at the same time, sometimes like people stop, people don't jive with you, and like that's okay. It's not, doesn't have to be this thing where like, oh my god, they hate me as a coach, I failed them, I should quit personal training because I had people stop. It's like, well, no, maybe their time was just done. Maybe your guys' relationship wasn't good or as good as you thought it was. And like, I think it's just a matter of, for me, it's like getting a certain level of clarity that not everything is necessarily my fault.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's also come with like a level of self awareness. I think that's obviously changed too, of being able to figure out like, okay, like how to evaluate these things and think through things differently. But I think that's taken time, and it's taken time to be able to like hone in on that level of awareness, because I feel like for a while it was like awareness, but there was no solution. If you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like I'd have awareness, but it's almost like you can see all of these chips on paint, but you don't know how to fix any of the chips on paint. That's probably the best way to put it. That you're like looking at a wall and you're like, there's all these dents and these scratches everywhere, but I don't know what to do. Whereas now it's like I can focus on like one dent or one scratch and fix that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this next one, fix that. And then like break it down, if that makes sense. It's like super easy.
Totally. And it also brings me to, I remember what I wanted to ask you, Bianca. And you said, you mentioned about how you worry about now when things happen. Oh, the first, like the cycle of thought is, this was my fault. Was that same thought process there before the trauma?
I don't know.
But you've noticed it more since, right?
I've noticed it more. Like, I'm definitely in my head. Like, I second guess myself a lot. Like,
Yeah.
even when I just have conversations with people. And, like, I know you're not always going to jive with people. And, like, things, business wise aren't always going to go the way that you want. But it's just like, I think the whole idea of not being good enough has been something that's been embedded in my head since I was little, and just because I've played at such a high level and the pressures that I've had on myself to succeed and trying to be like, yes, I still want to succeed, but taking that as like turning it down a notch and being like, you're human, you're gonna make mistakes, you're not always gonna be perfect. And like, I don't know, I just think in the last year, just in the environment that I was in and the relationship that I was in, it was just like the things that were happening. It mentally, it's just put me in a little bit of a different spot, and I I kind of like internalized things for a bit and wasn't able to speak about things, and then it turned into me being like, when everything kind of came to an end, it was like, holy crap, like what's wrong with me? Like what did I do? Like was it, I thought I did everything I could, and why wasn't it enough? And it's just like all these spiraling questions. And I think it's hard. Like I do like to blame myself for a lot of things, but it's just like that's just the way she goes sometimes. I don't know. It's just who I am, I guess. I'm like my worst enemy.
Totally. And like you're speaking to the choir here with that stuff too. It like I completely understand, and it made me realize this is the part no one talks about. We always hear, here's what happened to me, and I got better, and these are the things that made it better. But what we can kind of look over is you pretty much answered it for me. Like growing up being compared to other athletes, you do start to develop that feeling. And it happened from the hockey and football and then into music with me too. And my entire worth was based on what like blogs said about me for a long time. And then when certain rejections would happen in my life, all that would do is validate that feeling more. So I could be like, hey, when I was 26, I went through my first really intense, like figuring it out moment. And I go back and I think about, okay, that was one of the first times you built yourself back, and that was wonderful. And that served you for the next time you had to do it. And the time after that, you had to do it. But what I didn't look at long enough was, what are the little things that I didn't let go? Am I always looking around the corner now? I think PTSD essentially, right? So I guess what I was trying to ask is that something you noticed when it showed up, and then like what's that balancing point that we need to find between processing, understanding, momentum moving on, but then maybe reassessing and being like, oh, you know what? I am really worried that everything is my fault and I have a fear of the rug being pulled out under my feet all the time. Somewhere in year 38 of my life.
That's what happened.
Yeah, and it's
scary.
That's
what happened.
Yeah.
I feel like I was punched in the gut or kicked in the face.
Yeah.
Like the rug was pulled out under me, and like I was spiraling. I was like, do I need to move back home? Like I'm gonna pack up my shit. I'm gonna leave. Like I gotta quit my jobs. This and that. And then once I had an opportunity to like breathe, take a second, remove myself from the situation, I'm like, I always have this tendency of running away from my problems instead of facing them. And I'm like, no, Bianca, you're gonna stay. You're gonna give yourself time. You're gonna figure it out. And you're gonna realize and try and figure out if this is somewhere you want to be and stay. And now I'm here. I'm like, holy shit! Like I was driving the other day, and I'm like, oh my god, I live in such a beautiful city. Like I love Calgary. I love my friends here. I love my job. I'm like, it's always sunny here. I was like, yeah, like my life, did it turn out the way I had planned when I first moved here? No. And do I miss my family like crazy? Absolutely. And do they all want me home? Oh, of course. But I'm finally like in a place where I feel okay, and like, why can't that just be enough for everyone? It's like everyone's like, oh, come home. I'm like, but what about what I want? Like, why can't it be about what I want for once? And just trust that I'm okay, and like I can take care of myself. Like I'm an adult, and like yeah, there's gonna be days where I'm like, yeah, great. Of course, I wish my parents were here, but like, I trust myself, and like, I'm pretty well equipped, and like, I moved halfway across the world to go to school, and like, went through shit all by myself there,
Yeah,
like,
and that probably helped this time too, whether you knew it or not.
oh my
Like that,
God,
there are
yeah,
so many people
like,
that cannot do that.
oh my God, there's so many things that happen in
Yeah,
school. Like, there's so many. Like, when I was diagnosed with all that stuff by myself, and like, splitting my head open, and being in the hospital, and like, not being able to play, and like, there's just all this stuff like happened, and like,
yeah,
stuff that I didn't talk about, but I had to like, I remember like, dealing with all that by myself, and it was so dark, and like, not talking to my roommates, and like, just fucking off, and like, going to study because I didn't want to deal with anyone, and like, I put myself in situations to just deal with it alone because I didn't want anyone else to know.
yeah. And that, like, those, again, those experiences, as awful as they feel, which at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I think from my personal experience, that is what I fear the most, is the feeling. And then over
Hmm.
time, I was like, well, if it's the feeling I'm scared of, there's got to be some work
Yeah.
I can do to change that and to understand
Yeah.
thoughts and what that relationship looks like. And don't worry, we can edit out the I love Calgary part in post production. We just won't have that on our podcast.
Oh,
Joking. I
right.
just had to say it. I know it's a beautiful city y'all have there. I will be an
I love
Oilers kid
it. I
forever. Yeah.
love it here.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
good.
yeah, take that out. My dad might not like that.
But yeah, dude, together we're Alberta
Sorry.
though. No, I've always say like Calgary's a beautiful place, and I remember being on tour and being pretty homesick and seeing Denver and thinking it really reminded me of Calgary and finding some
Oh, I
comfort.
love Denver.
Yeah, and being like, oh yeah, this is just like American Calgary, and I'm just in Alberta. This is fine.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
dude.
yeah, it's crazy. I just like, I don't know. I like look at these experiences, and it's like, yeah, they were. Because I went through all that stuff, I've literally said like that. I remember that feeling of like during COVID, I got sent home. I literally couldn't get out of bed. I was so depressed. I literally would be on the floor crying, like just like what is the point? Like what's like what do I have to offer? Like what does my life mean now? Like do I get to play in college? Having that whole identity shift. And then I like made a promise to myself in that point, and I was like, Bianca, you you know how you're feeling right now, and I never want you to get to a point of feeling like this again, you know? And like so going through all that stuff when it was coming up, I was like, oh my God, I really feel like I've been like the rug has been pulled underneath me. I feel helpless, I feel sad, I feel heartbroken. And it's just like again, like picking myself up and being, okay, Bianca, like we're never going to get to this point again. We're never going to get to this point again. And now we're going to make sure we do everything we can to stop that, you know? And eventually it just led to me putting myself first, you know? It's like I said, I know what I have to offer. I know the person that I am. And I know like the people that do come to my life, whoever that is, people, places, like, are going to be lucky to know me and lucky to have me, and like that's just the way I have to look at things. And if someone doesn't want to value that, then clearly they weren't meant for my life in this journey that I'm on.
Yeah. And they're gonna mirror what they're feeling inside on the outside, right? So like when I look back on big rejections and what mental toughness I gained from it, I realized a lot of the time people are just dealing with their own shit and projecting it at me. And again, I was no better at the time. I did the same thing too. And that's why I really just think not to other people, but we all clearly love helping other people and other people given our
Yeah,
jobs. But for yourself, learn as much as you can. Like there are
I'm like a
answers.
sponge.
Yeah,
Take it in.
exactly. And like any little tip or trick I can ever take from these conversations I've had around the world from people that I've just had a knack of people telling me their trauma within 30 seconds of meeting me, and I love it because I've gained so many little tips and tricks for the next time it happens
Drama
to me.
bond.
And if there's anything I've learned the way I live life, there will be more. And I can admit I've got,
Always more.
yeah, always more. And I heard a quote on a pod, and I was going through it in my head, and I'm gonna mess it up, but it was like, if joy and happiness are the pursuit, the horizon we're pursuing, they're not going through your door unless they're welcome, but they need to be able to know that all of their other people are welcome, and the other people being every other emotion in there. And I know I strive for my mental toughness to get to a point to when I feel fear, when I feel rejection, shame, just those awful feelings, that I know that now. Like, I can't
Mhm.
just put this away. There's a feeling here.
Hmm.
Maybe it's from an old traumatic thing that happened. It's resurfacing. Can I let that feeling, can I feel it? Can I bring it down to baseline? and then
Mm.
can I assess it from there. Whereas before, whether it was
Yeah.
drugs, alcohol, girls, anything, I would go run away to not sit with myself and my issues.
Deal with
Now,
yourself. Yeah.
that being so tough, anybody that's listening, if you need to go do escapism to do it, you're never going to get shame or guilt from me. I understand. Like, I needed to be at a certain place before I did it, but I do recognize now, had I just started the momentum, it would have got there as well. And we keep coming back to, like, feel your feelings, understand your feelings, understand you aren't the event that happened either. And I think that's maybe what I was trying to get to when you're talking about, like, when you're worried about it always being your fault. Because I get that feeling all the time too, and I just can't stand it. And it's when every time I know
It's
someone else's
annoying.
feel, it's just like, and it's never true, man. It never is.
Yeah.
And if somebody, like, I've had, clients and days where I wasn't feeling the best or doing the best, be like, you're the reason my fitness goals aren't happening. And oh my God, it felt like a sword through my heart. If I got that now, I would either be able to be like, oh my God, I have been living bad, I'm sorry about that. Or like, okay, you're just not happy. And like, well, how can we move that on? And it's nice.
It's true.
I never thought I'd ever feel that. I never thought I'd ever be able to get to a point to that. Now that we've dug up so much old trauma with you, and I thank you so much for sharing, and I do hope you're okay through it all. Tell us about your future and your goals and your plans.
Future.
Let's go.
No, I mean, future now, looking in, like, just settling in Calgary, I think. Sorry, Dad. Traveling more, like going back to Australia and probably going there for 3 weeks, hitting back to Europe to train for the Olympics. So trying to sort that schedule out, and getting my passport for Team Italy.
Let's talk about the Olympics. We would be crazy if we didn't touch on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be super sick. So I have to get my passport for Team Italy. So I'm hoping that that's going to be a little bit of a process. So I'm waiting for that. That's going to be, I got to get going with that. But yeah, so hopefully trying to make a couple training camps within the fall. And then, going back to Australia and kind of just traveling and experiencing that because I did really, really love it. And then kind of like jumping ahead here, obviously growing the business and like signing more online clients and growing through there. And then potentially opening a gym here in Calgary the next 5 years. That is like the ultimate goal. Perfect. So kind of like working towards that and like building that out is super exciting. And it sounds fucking crazy.
No, that's
but
perfect.
It's going to be so fun. And like, that's why I'm like, I can't give up. If I land with the right people in the right places, I know it's going to happen. And I mean, there's nothing like super crazy up the pipeline, but just a lot of coaching experiences.
I love that you're like, oh my God, I got this crazy plan. And you're like, no, there's nothing too crazy coming up.
It's like, it's the craziest plan. Like saying it sounds fucking nuts, but I'm like,
good. That's how you know it's
holy
perfect.
Shit. For all those younger athletes out there wanting to go to college and get recruited, like this is the dream right here. I'm building everything out for that little kid who wants to pursue and have something bigger for them. Like that's it. And for sure.
Like, it could sound like at the start of this pod, all we were talking about is just failures and misery, and then it's not. Look what it's led to.
And it's not.
Yeah, and all you've ever proven to yourself through that is resilience, right? And like you don't make goals like that if you don't believe you can do them or like have some intention there. And I think that's just such a perfect like sum up of everything of like shit happens just like they said it would. But it is like, I'll say this every day, my favorite quote, it's about how you walk through the fire. And man, if you, like, let's say the dragon's coming at you, you're terrified and you run away, that's okay. That's okay as long as you're back. Reassess how to try this again. Just don't let it beat you. And it's like all those like hilarious little sports quotes that were like, I laughed out on like the dressing room wall in hockey.
Not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up.
Oh my God. And then I'm like, oh my God, people have been on the earth before me for thousands of years and they know a little something about this. And it's that to me on the darkest of days, just knowing like once I let that wave of whatever it is happen to me and less and less each time, there are, a series of decisions I can make that are going to support everything I want to do and believe in. And the only person that can truly stop it is my own demons, and little mental...
I got to get out of my own way.
Exactly.
For sure. And just like open to like accepting whatever's coming my way and like being okay with that.
Getting out of your own way, like as we like, and I feel like we'll have you on here again and almost like we'll push for it to see like, okay, where are we at 3 months from now? And I think we could even just do like a continuing series of it, of like getting in your own way, how to get out of it. I empathize with that a lot, and it's really cool to see and inspiring, like the difference from when it was still pretty fresh when we first chatted to you, and now it's like fuck yeah, you're just proving everything I already believed in, and it's just the best, man.
Appreciate it.
It's so great to hear.
Appreciate it.
And congratulations.
Appreciate
to you.
it.
Like freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm just I'm here, I'm ready. I'm excited to build this life. And it's like like I said, I come from an old school Italian family. Grandparents came off the boat, try to make a better life for themselves. And like at the end of the day, like I want to make my family proud. I want to make myself proud, and like I want to create the best possible life for myself, right? Because you do only have one life to live, right? But like we do get to live every day, we die once. So it's like make sure that you are doing the things that you love every day, because you never know. You really never know. So
Perfect.
I have one thing to add to this, and then I think we'll wrap it up nicely. One thing that I've been doing is actually writing down. Again, it's estimated, but people think it's kind of crazy. How many days I have left on this earth?
Oh my god.
yeah.
So I think today was 18,849, roughly. If we're basing it off of like the average person living till about like I think it was 85. So, and it sounds kind of morbid, but I think for me, what it's really got me to kind of come to terms with is the idea of it eventually being gone one day.
Mm.
And I think within that too, it's just given me less fear about living every day, because I think a lot of people, like what they do is they have a lot of fear of like putting themselves out there, and like Bianca's mentioned it today too, is like live authentically, right? Like take those chances. But I think it's because like they're scared of like eventually dying. But if you don't fear the idea of eventually dying because you're truly living now, then it just means peace. So as
It's
morbid
peace.
as it sounds, it has been something that I've been doing, and I'm waiting for Rob to say his piece on it, because that's okay. But
I heard
we'll
this.
talk about it more.
Do you guys know the YouTube channel After School?
No.
Okay, they'll take like famous lectures from people living and or dead, and a guy will animate with a Sharpie as it goes. It's a great learning tool for like the visual learner. But there was one yesterday I watched, and on what Bryce just said, the quote was, "If you die before you die, then you won't die when you die." And I don't want to explain my understanding of it. I just want that to float out there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, mic drop.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I think, again, to just like for one mic drop moment, I think people just feared the idea of not living, not death.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, you just got to live your best life. Live your best life. Put yourself first, damn it.
Perfect.
And that's where we'll wrap it.
Yeah.
That's where we'll wrap it.
Get Bianca to fire you the F up.
That's what we need. Little
If
sound
you need me to
clips.
fire you up, you call me.
It's like, am I gonna take some pre-workout or gonna put the Bianca like positivity loop in my ear?
Yeah.
There you go.
On a loop.
Both.
Nice.
On a loop.
Both. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you need something to listen to before your workout, it'd be like 57:15.
That. It's like just do
Call
you.
Bianca.
Just do you.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is do you. Come on. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
All you gotta do is do you and fuck everyone else, all
Turn
right?
up the turn up the like Italian accent in there too, and just it'd be perfect. man.
Meatballs,
Yeah,
hey.
man. Hey. Fuck
Well-
your business venture. You have this business now to do.
I have one thing to say. I think it's been, like Rob alluded to it earlier too, like it's been good seeing you here today now, because I know that you've been struggling, and like I know that you've still been showing up to the group meetings. You've been showing up to all those meetings, but like I know for you, like it's been tough. So it's really good to see you on this rise and on this climb.
Yep.
And it's good to see you like today, just like glowing. Like today, you're just
Yeah,
like
hell yeah.
you're
Appreciate
you're vibing. I can feel it through the screen, and it's
Yeah.
great to
Appreciate it.
it's great to see and great to feel, because I know what it's like to be like in the pit of despair, as Zach calls it, or at that proverbial rock bottom with all the sea critters, the ones that are like in the depths of hell,
Oh, yeah.
and it sucks.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that like it is worth it, because if you can make it through
Certainly
it,
is.
life will be significantly better. So,
Agreed.
but for people that want to follow you and maybe hit you up for some motivational pep talks, where can they do
Yes.
so?
At Santucci Fit, baby.
Nice. Well, we're
yeah.
we're stoked. She flexed for people listening.
Yeah.
We're stoked to have you on, and we're excited to hear all about your Olympic prep, all about your growth for your business. And like Rob mentioned, I think we'll have to have you on every like couple months just
Oh,
to
yeah.
touch base, see where you're at.
Love hanging out with you guys.
Talk
love
about
it.
your new findings. Talk about
Love it.
people's ideas of death. That's kind of a more
Sure.
of an
Now
idea.
we're
Sure.
talking. Now we're talking.
Sure.
We're ghosts and UFOs, man. Let's go.
Oh my God. Sounds great.
But
Perfect.
Sounds great.
thank you.
No worries. Chat soon.